Reviewers are loving Death Stranding too. The game's getting universal praise, except from this guy. And the internet can't help but poke fun at Hideo Kojima, especially after he said he'd rather make a game that doesn't appeal to mass market. So, what has critics singing from the mountaintops? Let's break it down. After reading a multitude of reviews, this is a sequel that actually acts like a sequel from what reviewers are saying. The environment isn't just an obstacle, it fights back. What is happening? They're whales! Combat has more agency, letting players approach encounters on their own terms. Enemies come with new armor types, meaning you'll need to match them with the right weapons. Combat has a more strategic feel, but NPCs still act like Call of Duty zombies. There's a skill system that lets you lean into your playstyle of choice, and probably all of their favorites, a journalist mode that lets you skip the boss fights. Kidding. The most important one is the game's quality of life improvement. It's refreshing to see Death Stranding 2 get praised on actual game design merits, unless you're this guy. But because of human technology, human ingenuity, human community, I got to avoid that whole thing. See, this one reviewer from GameSpot gave the game a 70 out of 100, docking points for things like questionable tropes around women. He mentioned that one moment in the game had him feeling weird. That's fine, sure. But here's the thing. It wasn't a mechanic, it wasn't a core experience to the game. It was one personal moment and he docked points because of it. Taking points off a game because it doesn't align with your worldview, that just comes off as petty. Kojima! No. He claims the original was about missteps and the threat of losing a package during a 20-minute delivery. As someone who played the first game, that's just not accurate. Balance wasn't hard. The focus was never just walking, it was about overcoming terrain, building infrastructure, and carving your own path. The quote continues, after a few dozen main orders, you get exoskeletons and vehicles. If you want an experience like the first game, just don't use the vehicles. A few dozen. I really hope it doesn't take that long, because it didn't in the first game. Also, I spent 90% of my time on a bike in the original. I'm honestly starting to question if he played the same game. The dog gotta make a noise when it blows up. It's like, why, master? This kind of criticism is a red flag. It misrepresents the game and downplays some of its best innovations. Death Stranding was never a Freudian walking-like sim, and the sequel isn't about removing friction. It's about adding engagement, where the first game was thin, like being able to customize your vehicle, add weapons, or pick up packages while driving. I used to skip half the loot or enemy camps because I didn't want to hop in and out of my truck every 5 minutes. Now, that friction is transformed into fun. Sam, why are there more BTs in this area? Well, I was curb stomping the enemies and I accidentally killed someone who was sleeping. From my time with the game, quality of life alone makes a massive difference. A visible weight limit bar, customization and loadouts outside the private room, side missions happening while you're out delivering, not just at the stations. The map feels more interactive. Enemy camps act as real roadblocks. I wouldn't necessarily agree with the enemy armor types. The bullets you use on your guns automatically switch now instead of having to manually switch them yourself. So you just pull out a gun and shoot whatever you need to shoot. Maybe in the future, different weapons affect different enemies more, because I'm starting to see it lean towards that. But as of now, I don't know. I've had to deal with more than just rocks and steep hills when it comes to terrain. And you know what? I actually raided a camp and donated materials to other players, something I never cared to do in the first game. My biggest complaint with the original was the bloated dialogue. There was payoff, sure, but the pacing dragged. Now with dialogue options, I can experience the story at my own pace, and I'm honestly enjoying it a lot more. And after playing the game for a little over 9 hours, I can say I'm much more engaged with the story. I'm not bogged down by the information overload that was the dialogue beforehand, because I just get the information that I want or need. And if there are points where I feel like I am confused, you can go into the menu system and actually pull up summaries of the main story or of other characters or situations that you want to know more of. Maybe it's because it's a sequel and I'm more attached to these characters because of that, or maybe it's because the pacing is a lot more to my style, but I am definitely enjoying the story this time around more. There are moments that just mirror the way that the first story was told, and I think my curiosity has made it to the point where I get a little annoyed when I have to go back to playing the game because I just want to see more of what's going on into the main story. Death Stranding 2's biggest accomplishment, it gives more agency to the player and leans hard into quality of life. It paints a clear picture of Kojima's vision, a game made for the fans of the previous title, and evolves without compromising what made the original special. Now, don't get it twisted. The quality of life, the more action-packed game, the customization, these are all cool aspects that we have now, but this is still getting from point A to point B while trying to solve the problem of the obstacles in your way. You're still doing a UPS simulator, except now you're not working for the government, you're working for a private company, so I guess you are just doing an Amazon delivery service simulator now. This is still a game where the majority of the time that you're spending is just moving from one point to another. Until next time, play nice.